Episode number 188 of Funny Not Funny with Jim and Lionel.
That's got to be a mistake.
No, that is, let me double check.
Well, some of them are repeats,
website,
right? Some of them were
funnynotfunny.bigego.com, and I took the repeats out of the count. Yep, the last episode was Crimea River, Techno-Feudalism, Economic Theory, Ukraine Victories, and Data Cost. And that was number 187, and I excluded all of the repeats. 187. This is 188.
That just sounds insane.
I agree. I don't know what.
How many years have we doing this?
Now you're making me do math.
Well, what's the date of the first episode?
2026. I thought the first one was 2022.
No.
You know what? I can
not.
find. Hold on a second. It's true, man. Look, the computer doesn't lie. First episode was called It's Pump 6, Hitler's American Gamble by Brendan Sims. December 1st, 2021. What? Yeah. Episode 2, which does count as episode 2, was I never hit record. So that's the lost episode. So yes, if you count the episode that was lost, we're one behind. This would be 187. Okay. But I like to count the lost episode. I just find that comforting.
Do we have any idea what we talked about? No, I have no idea what we talked about last week.
That was 5 years ago, right? It was four and some years ago.
Oh my God.
Not four score, but 4 and some.
Okay.
It is.
So for this one, what? Go ahead.
It is rather unbelievable. I agree. That's what I'm trying to say.
Agree. And I hate to say this. Like you say to me, like, "Oh, you remember the time we talked to blah blah blah?" Like,
I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about at all. I'm sorry. Some of these things, I don't know. I mean, the good, yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting doing this because you realize there's only a certain amount of attention span you have in your life, and you quickly exhaust it in the course of a day because there's a lot of things I don't remember at all discussing with people.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't need to be, none of it needs to be kept in active memory. I think if you were to hear a snippet of something, you would probably be like, oh, yeah, we talked about that.
I hope so.
But yeah, if you held it all in active memory, I think, who does that? I know some people have perfect recall, but that just seems like that would be kind of drive you crazy, wouldn't it?
Well, that's the Borges story.
Everything is.
Memorial. Yeah. Funes the Memorious.
Mm-hmm.
Good story. It's just that simple idea that somebody who remembers everything, you wouldn't know anything. There's no knowledge because every time you look at the table, it's a different table. So you have no sense of table. You just have you have all these still frames, but you can. And the thing I always loved, because I think he's really talking about himself, is that the only way that Funes the Memorious could go to sleep was to go in his bed and turn his back and turn to the wall and imagine a place that he had never been and never seen, a spot at the bottom of a river, 5 miles off to the east. And that's the only way he could go to sleep, was trying to imagine something he had never seen before. Anyway, that's a fun story.
Happy guy, Borges.
Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah.
Laugh a minute.
Really, really fun at parties.
Speaking of fun at parties.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We actually I thought this was kind of a fun episode. We got to put down all the serious stuff, and we got to just watch some old sci-fi. And originally we had picked Starship Troopers, but I talked to Lionel on the phone afterwards, and I realized since really all of these movies had a 70s theme, that Zardoz made a whole lot more sense. And Zardoz is a movie that I particularly love, that almost nobody loves. And it is.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it is. I didn't love it the first time I saw it, but then I kept thinking about it, which I'm like, why am I thinking about this? Should we start with Zardoz?
It's a deeply offensive film.
Oh, and in so many ways, as in keeping with Sean Connery at the time, I learned a few things about it. But
tell me, I'm interested in the backstory of this ridiculous film.
Oh yeah, so I just want to start off by listing the films we did see in case we don't get to talk about one of them. There's Zardoz. I'm forgetting all of them.
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run.
THX 1138.
Right.
And what was the fourth one?
The Forests in Space.
Silent Running.
Silent Running, right. That with Brewster.
So we got the disco, we got LSD, we got disco, we got the eco craze of the early 1970s.
That's right.
We covered it all. We did. THX 1138 anyway. But Zardoz is Zardoz.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. What do you want to say about
it? There's a reason. There's a non-mind-blowing reason why that I think at the time was supposed to be like the big shocker of the film, which I don't know. We may have to give it away. I don't know that it really is that important.
I gotta say. So I'll say something right off the bat because I have to interject, which is that throughout the vast majority of the film, from the very first frame, you're like, what?
What am I watching?
The actual F is going on in this film. And you maintain that up until about 10 minutes before the end. You're just like, are these people just stoned out of their mind or something like that? And then you hit the last 10 minutes and it really sort of drives home the fact that either A, they are really out of their minds, or B, they're just completely having fun with this. Like there is absolutely no serious intent whatsoever. But anyway,
so the director is John Borman, and John Borman directed the film that he directed before this was, I want to say, On the Waterfront. It's not. It's the one about the river and horrible things happening on a canoe trip with Burt Reynolds.
Deliverance.
Deliverance.
He did Deliverance before this?
He did Deliverance right before he did this film.
Whoa.
And he wanted to cast Burt Reynolds in it, and Burt Reynolds was like, no. No, actually, he said, I've come down with an illness, so I won't be able to.
An illness called concern for my career.
Yes.
My legacy.
I know what you did to me last time, and I'm not doing that again. So Borman originally wanted to make a Lord of the Rings. He tried to storyboard out a Lord of the Rings, and he ran into too many technical problems, and he realized that it was going to be too expensive to make. And so they gave up on that. And then he started on a script that was about someone in an office, played by Burt Reynolds, who was in love with like a younger woman, and there was some mystery about that, or the woman goes missing or something like that, and he tries to find her. And that script kind of petered out and went nowhere. And then I don't know. Then the rest is rumor. Then he dropped a lot of, illicit drugs, and he just started filming. And somehow they got Sean Connery. So they got Sean Connery right after he had done 3 James Bond films. And he didn't want to do any more. And they got him at a huge discount. He was making millions for each of those films in the role of James Bond back in the 60s. And they got him for like hundreds of thousands to do this. I think part of it was like, will there be free love on the set? Seriously, I'm not sure that he was into taking illicit substances, but no doubt he would drink some whiskey and make out with the other actors. I don't know what he was thinking. And then at some point, somebody said of Borman that he wanted to make a science fiction movie that was free from all of the weird trappings of science fiction, and that just showed regular people doing regular things.
They all say that.
And, that it's going to be realistic and down to earth, and it's going to be relatable, and none of these wild costumes. And the first thing he did was put Sean Connery in a red kind of set of large red underwear, tighty-whities, with bandoliers
and jack boots that go up to his knees.
Oh, knee boots. And somebody pointed out that it's a copy of the Barbarella costume, but in red.
That's exactly what came to mind. And I was very interested in like the impact of Barbarella on this stuff.
I think it must have been huge. It's post-apocalyptic. Everybody kind of sets things a little too early, I don't know, 200 years in the future. And yet there seems to have been, eons of human evolution or something like that that have happened anyway.
Yeah, math is
in 200 years.
It's not your strong suit when you're tripping.
No. And Sean Connery is an exterminator, and he is set out to exterminate the grunts or the regular folk.
Right.
But at some point they start farming. There's this one guy, Arthur Frayne, who's in charge of the outside. So then there's immortals, the immortal rich people. And I really did like the backstory when they finally got around to it. Was that the earth was dying, and so all of the Elon Musks and Peter Thiels and all those people built a dome that was impenetrable, and they watched all the people starve outside of the dome while they kind of tried to stay happy on the inside, and they found the key to immortality. It's literally the billionaire's dream. So they started the billionaire's dream, the separate Earth essentially for the worthy and the learned. And gradually, of course, inside of the dome, everybody starts to go crazy. And outside of the dome, of course, they're worried that there are going to be too many.
It's Mad Max. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, right. It's. I wonder if Mad Max, kind of, the idea of Thunderdome and kind of.
No, that was much later than this movie.
Yeah.
Much later.
No, but I wonder if it stole some of the ideas. Although these are kind of age-old tropes.
But it looks fine. The world outside looks great. We're not talking about the deserts of Australia. Mm-hmm. It looks like England because
they're able to farm.
It's Northern Ireland, I think. I think they photographed a lot of it in like Wicklow Castle. Yes. Is where they photographed. But it looks perfectly nice. But yeah, none of it makes sense. You can try to explain the story. It's incoherent. And the very first scene is this dismembered head of Arthur Frayne floating around on the screen, explaining you the introduction. Then you realize at some point that the mustache and beard he has is drawn in magic marker.
Or mascara or something, yeah.
Something. But it's like, it looks like somebody went up to the guy and drew a mustache with and it's quite obvious.
Wait, hold still.
Yeah. Okay, roll tape.
Yeah, and at the end, it's like there's a little bit of a dig at the movie studios in his opening remarks, and I think there was something about, I forget how this film got approved. I think somebody got cornered essentially. I think Borman managed to corner some executive and then make him promise to make the next movie based on his success or lack of. I think he had success with Deliverance.
Oh, Deliverance was a hit.
Yeah. So they gave him a film, and then
boy, oh boy, what a film!
Then the mushrooms started flowing, and I think he was kind of tripping. He doesn't really understand the movie himself. He has a hard time explaining it or even defending it. But they okayed the movie, and then when it was done, they were like, "I think we need a little prelude to this film to start it off." And so they threw in Arthur Frayne's floating head saying a bunch of
gibberish,
kind of Shakespearean nonsense, Shakespearean garbage.
Oh, we're all players on the stage and everything. I'm a magician. I'm a god by occupation, but a magician by it's just, and it's hilarious nonsense, and it's totally entertaining. But at the same time, it's really violent in parts. It's really distressing. Yes. It's just and you have these scenes which you're like, I should be really like offended, or I should really think this is the stupidest thing in the world, and you're not. It's a really weird film. I'm sure it differs depending on who you are, but it's not a first date. Well, I don't know who your first date is, but
it depends.
Definitely, first time, if you're not sure, I'd watch it by yourself. And parts of it don't make any sense. There's no continuity in the plot, really. It's all just sort of made up.
I don't know. For some reason, the movie makes a lot of sense to me. I think because I've watched it so many times that it's kind of I've taken on the patterns of it.
So who are all the people in plastic bags in Zardoz's head? What were they?
I love that. So there is a giant floating rock stone head that goes to the Outlands. I forget what they called the Brutals, to kind of cull the Brutals and to collect the grain. Is sort of what Arthur Frayne had done. He'd also started like a genetics experiment out there to kind of raise a breed of superhumans and or supermen. Really, I don't think not a lot of women. He wasn't breeding women, but they're inside of the stone head are these. I think they are other immortals, sort of in the process of being cloned. Because if you notice when they go into the dome, what is it? It's some like Dome 4 or something like that.
Vortex.
The Vortex 4, yeah. When they in one of the halls, there's also those naked. There are naked bodies everywhere in this film, and it's not even. There's nothing sexy about it. It's very like kind of clinical and plain, like. And in one of the rooms, the walls are lined. You can kind of see it's transparent, and inside is some kind of fluid.
All
with
these people
floating bodies, and I think that for that head was transporting floating bodies, maybe from one vortex to another. There is sort of a hint that there is more than one vortex.
Who knows?
Who
knows? The interesting thing is that the actual production values are really high.
It is, yeah.
Like it doesn't look cheap.
I think that's why it's so confusing to watch.
It's so confusing because it is such a shit show, but the production values are so good. I mean, it really you're like, okay, I can believe the costumes are ridiculous, but they're everything's well done. And it's Sean Connery, you know.
Within the first 3 minutes of the movie, a giant floating head kind of comes out of the sky, lands amongst a bunch of like red underwear bandolier wearing guys with these
like they got separated from the village people.
Yeah. with these, some of them have masks on that have the stone face on both sides, the front and the back. And
never explained. Yeah.
It lands. Yeah, that's true. And it lands, and a voice comes out of it and says, "You are the chosen people. The gun is good. The penis is evil." And then guns and ammunition fly out of its mouth.
Yeah.
And if you are still in the theater at that point, you're in for a ride.
You're in for a hayride, baby. A lot of fun. Anyway, yes, I highly recommend it. I think it is a wonderful. I think there's so many things to dig out there, like all the particular neuroses and and concerns of, what was it made, 74, which feels kind of late.
Yeah, I think it's earlier. No, it was 74.
It was 74. Yeah. It feels a
Charlotte Rampling.
Yeah. And some of those people went on to have very significant careers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, apart from Sean Connery, the woman who plays, I forget which one she was, but she's appeared. I mean, she's one of the gray eminences of British television now. I'm sure. What
was it? Charlotte Rampling, or was it?
Let me take a look.
I'm not sure whether I should look at the Wikipedia.
It's the one he ends up having the kid with at the end.
Oh, yeah, which Charlotte Rampling.
Which is totally disconcerting. Yeah. That's the sequence. I'm like,
that last scene is apparently they had to shoot that 3 times. First time because the film was exposed, right? And Sean Connery hates having any makeup on, so it was apparently he got more and more angry. These are the stories that are told. Who knows how if they're, and apparently also it was kind of a free love fest on the set, but that also might be a rumor. I have no idea.
Well, honestly,
people were basically nude. I mean, there's a lot of nudity in all of these films.
Oh yeah, no, but like she's Charlotte Rampling, who is a beautiful. I mean, I really dig her a lot. She is beautiful.
Oh, she's great. Yeah,
but you got. Every time somebody asks her about Zardoz, they probably get a knee to the crotch is what they get. If somebody asks me about that film one more time.
I don't. Okay, I'll do the interview, but
there's going to be no questions about Zardoz.
Yeah. Sarah Kestelman was May, and I thought that was a pretty good role. She was actually playing a more complex character.
Right.
John Alderton was as Friend.
He was great, but he was playing like a very stock character from British.
Yes,
the British thing, which is sort of the fallen louche bon vivant
Yes.
Who redeems himself a little bit at the end, but he's basically a drunk.
The wastrel. The wise wastrel.
A roue.
Yes.
And he's sort of ambisexual. It's very expected, but I love that last scene where he's like chatting with Arthur Frayne, amused and bemused and disused. And they're like, you're like,
yes.
Okay, yes. We've tossed away any pretext that this is like a serious film.
It's very weird and camp, and the thing is, though, I think there is one really interesting theme, which is, what if the very wealthy and powerful got everything they wanted? And I actually feel like it deals with it really well. Which is, it's that chaos that ensues from literally walling yourself off from the rest of the world for what you think is the good of humanity, and then how it ends up catching up with you in the end. Mm-hmm. I really think that's the central theme for John Boorman here. And in some ways, he really did accomplish expressing that theme. It's just that how many people can actually make it all the way through this film to get that message? It takes a really weird mind just to sit through all that and not go, okay, screw it.
No, it's actually kind of, I mean, it actually is a great film because it's a really easy hang once you've made the determination in your mind.
Yes.
That this isn't The Expanse. Okay, let's get that.
There are no rules in this.
There's no rules. This is not 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is just a hayride, and just enjoy it for what. And nothing's going to really make a lot of sense entirely. But there's a lot of common themes there. And so, go ahead. Yeah.
No, how many other films are like that? I mean, in some ways, it is just like a unique creative expression.
It's chaotic. And the interesting thing is to watch it side by side with Logan's Run.
Yes.
Which is very many of the same themes. I mean, tracks very closely, but Logan's Run feels like an assisted living center compared to Zard. I mean, not to be too dismissive of where I'll be in another decade or two, but Logan's Run is a snooze compared to Zardoz, but it's very much the same theme. Which
all of these movies actually share that, I think.
Well, there's a walled off city.
Yep.
Where the eternally young live. Well, they're not eternally young in Logan's Run, but where only the young live.
Right.
There's no old people. Well, whatever. Again, any comparison falls apart because Zardoz is not a tightly wrapped package. Every statement made about Zardoz contains its own opposite.
Yeah, there is no. Yeah.
Right. But Logan's Run just feels really tame and fundamentally kind of boring compared to Zardoz.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't watch Logan's Run after Zardoz. And like, if Zardoz is your jam,
yeah,
you can ditch the rest of these.
There's not a lot that keeps up with that.
No.
Honestly, the only thing that seemed close to me to it, which is very interesting, was something like The Fifth Element.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you have the crazy costumes. Yes. And you have the crazy over the top. There's a huge comic element to it. There's no comedy in Logan's. There's virtually no humor at all in Logan's Run. It's deadly serious. But Zardoz, there's a tremendous amount of humor, and so is that. And that's. But anyway, I don't want to, because that leads me into like Heavy Metal Magazine and Mobius and all that kind of stuff. But
I think The Fifth Element is excellent. It's one of my favorite films.
And it's sort of the same in the sense that it's very, I don't want to say misogynistic, but it certainly takes a very primitive view of the relationship between the sexes.
Well, Lilu's costume in the beginning of The Fifth Element is a little like Sean Connery's.
Yeah.
Without the thigh-high boots.
And I think that's really... And it's interesting because I think we've talked about this before. After 188 episodes, I can't imagine of anything that we haven't discussed. Which is, this guy, Jean Reno, a.k.a. Mobius, who was a French illustrator who started out in the late 1960s doing Western novels in French. He was one of those drawing fools. And he's changed into science fiction, and he started Metal Hurlant, which was Heavy Metal Magazine, which became this huge phenomenon. He had this very particular way of illustrating, and he's great. And he's one of those guys who at that time was just, he woke up, started drawing, and kept drawing until his head hit the desk, and then he went to sleep and woke up 4 hours later and continued drawing. For like 10 years there, he had an enormous output. And he was the consultant on The Fifth Element, but he didn't need to be the consultant because Luc Besson was absolutely, if you want to see a total Mobius movie, that's, what is the one? The City of a Thousand Stars?
Oh,
the one that was sort of like the next Luc Besson film after Fifth Element.
It was Valerian and
the City of a Thousand Stars, which sort of face planted a little bit, but which is a magnificent.
I think you really had to like the comic series in order to really get that movie.
Yeah, but the whole visual thing was magnificent. Like some of the beautiful world building in that film was over the top of anything I've ever seen. It
didn't have Bruce Willis, and it didn't have
Milla Jovovich,
yeah. Right. I mean, and actually that entire cast. But we've now moved on to a movie that is not on our list.
But
we should get back to
what I was saying is that I think, because one of the things I'm interested in is what's the cultural milieu around something like a Zardoz and around a Logan's Run.
Yeah.
And I think you have to remember that you have this stuff like, you have the hippie thing going on, obviously, and you got the eco thing. And Logan's Run is what year, Jim? You're the
oh yeah, hang on a second.
You're the man with a plan here.
Yeah. There was a movie that people think of as a hold on a second.
Logan's Run is 75 or 76.
76. 2 years after Zardoz.
Yeah, and things have changed. And Logan's Run feels like it. It feels more like Starlight Express. It's more like the disco age, and everything's sleek, and there's like malls and things like that.
So I learned a couple of things about Logan's Run as well. So it stars Michael York, which people, I know he's been in a ton of stuff, but people might remember him from the Austin Powers as Basil Exposition. But this is a younger Michael York, still, in his 30s. Jenny Agutter, who actually had a great career in BBC and other films. Farrah Fawcett made her debut in this film before anybody knew who she was. And she had a very small part. She's really on the screen for only 5 minutes. And Peter Ustinov, who apparently was just flat out drunk the entire time he was filming. Never stopped drinking, not for a second. And apparently they didn't bother to stop him because it worked. He improvised all that stuff about the cats. When they finally meet an old person, it's Peter Ustinov, and he's just flat on his butt. It's
actually one of the more interesting parts of the entire film.
It's true. I mean, and I don't know,
because up to that point, the dialogue is really stilted.
Yeah.
And very predictable.
There is a scene apparently in the ice cave where Michael York basically broke his back, and he continued filming. He fractured 2 vertebrae and didn't tell anyone because he wanted to finish the film. And
he wanted to get out of this.
Yeah. Oh, get me out of this thing. And he just kept going in tremendous pain and on painkillers. And you can, I guess if you kind of watch it again, you can sort of see the moment at the shots that are after the ice cave.
That was incomprehensible. I don't know what that added to the plot of the movie.
Nothing.
I didn't understand anything that was going on in the entire scene.
Yeah, there were frozen people because the birds.
They were supposed to be
animals.
Freezing fish, but the fish ran out, so they started freezing.
So were they
and the funny thing is, if they did that in Zardoz, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally down with that." But they do it in Logan's Run, you're like, "Oh, this is complete bullshit."
Well, that's right, because they're trying to keep some kind of pretense of logic or something.
Right.
But I mean, I think everybody knows the premise of Logan's Run is that it's a walled city again, it's a bubble, it's a dome, where everybody inside lives to be 30, and then the light in their palm starts flashing. And I was like, why put it in your palm? Like, that would be annoying, wouldn't it?
Jim,
you could have it on your forehead or something.
You're not
why
a
on
science.
Your palm?
You weren't meant for science.
No,
fiction.
I guess not. Why your palm?
So I put it in my left butt cheek.
Yeah. So, the light in your palm starts flashing, and then you go up for renewal. You basically, you blow up. Apparently, they made this kind of wire carousel that was incredibly dangerous, and 2 people had to be taken to the hospital. So there wasn't a lot of safety checks on the set, and I think that's all I really remember in terms of the production.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you start to see the curvature of the Earth after you've watched a lot of these things over the years. So Zardoz and Logans Run are very similar, and they're very similar. And the other things that are in the same vein, I thought, were Silo.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Silo and City of Ember.
I haven't seen City of Ember.
And The Giver.
Yeah, The Giver is like that. It's all on a plateau. Yeah, but
it's all post-apocalyptic. There are the survivors of the apocalypse.
Yep.
They've walled themselves off or sunk themselves below ground, either willingly or unwillingly. And it's just amazing how similar they are. The City of Ember was was a young adult book written in French, written in France. It was actually made into a movie with Bill Murray as one of the lead characters, and it sank without a trace.
Yeah,
the movie, but it's very close to Silo. There's like an emergency. A city is built underneath to survive a nuclear war, and everybody's forgotten there's a nuclear war, and everybody just lives underground. And then intrepid young woman, a girl discovers the truth and begins the harrowing journey of trying to get back out to the outside world. It's basically, like it's a Silo.
Yeah.
It's Silo, except they're completely different. They're entirely the same in some ways and completely different. I read the Silo books. I watched the Silo series. I just find it grinding, just like Game of Thrones. It's
really hard.
It's
joyless
when you get past
a certain point.
And it's just grinding. City of Ember is just kind of a joke. It's okay. It's okay, but it's not terribly interesting. Giver's a little more. I think Giver's early. I think Giver's probably like 74. Do you have a date on Giver?
The Giver. Hang on. Give me a second.
See, this is great. Jim just does Jim's like our fact checker. I don't have to do
Lois Lowry, 1993. 1993. Wait. No, that's the book.
That's the book, not the movie.
That's the book. Yeah, the movie is 2014.
Wow.
And there's a Chapel Roan song, but I don't think it's about the novel. Maybe it is.
But what else is there about, like, the people living? The wealthy go off and after the apocalypse, everybody goes and lives in this idyllic community, and then there's some kind of reckoning. That's sort of basically all of these.
Yeah, in some ways, I suppose. I mean, I don't know that there's no origin story to Logan's Run, aside from what we get at the end, which really is like a Star Trek moment, where somehow, I mean, literally, it ends because Logan won't confirm that such a thing as sanctuary exists. And the computer can't handle it, and it blows up. And then suddenly, when computers shut down, they don't just stop working and go, you get the blue screen of death. In this case, everything starts to explode.
Yeah, and just like the whole thing with the frozen fish episode, there's a lot of really incomprehensible. I think there's probably about as much drugs on the set of Logan's Run as
very likely
just on Zardoz. But Logan's Run is fundamentally sort of a deeply unsatisfying movie in a lot of ways. Although it's interesting how I see faint echoes of Total Recall in it, and other stuff. But anyway, so it's just interesting if you compare all these different things: The Giver, City of Ember, Silo, which is a huge phenomenon. I mean, it's a fairly popular meme right now. And we also, well, I didn't rewatch because I watched it fairly recently. We watched THX 1138,
yes,
which is basically many of the same elements, but like turned upside down.
Yeah, like it's not. I mean, Logan's Run, at least until you're 30,
you're having a good time.
Maybe after you're 12, I couldn't quite tell what they did with kids. It was a little ambiguous,
right?
You're pretty happy, right? It's fun. It's all fun and games until you turn 30, and that's interesting. There's so much more they could have done with after the time after they left. That kind of happy fun and games place. They didn't have to have somebody else chasing them down in order to kill them. That really didn't add anything. It really could have been about their discovery of, old age or, just the outside world, and very little was kind of focused on that.
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
But in THX 1138, there is sort of something like that.
Well, THX 1138 is on a different level, I think. It's really
like 1984, but like even more stark. It's very parallel. There are a lot of parallels with 1984. I mean, the main character, his main transgression is that I think his roommate stopped like kind of giving him all the drugs that he was supposed to take. And so he started basically waking up and getting depressed and throwing up. And then he found solace in a sexual relationship with her. And that's all a crime for which he's punished. And I mean, that's the long and short of it. Let me look it up because I'm forgetting that Donald Pleasance is in it.
Yes.
And I actually thought he did a really great job.
It's Robert Duvall who plays the main character, who's fabulous.
Yeah. And that was 1971. So same year as Zardoz.
Yeah.
And Donald Pleasance is sort of, in some ways, I really liked when they're off in the kind of
the white
zone.
Yeah.
And they're all, Donald Pleasance is sort of philosophizing. And it's this wonderful time where you realize that he's kind of trying to make up mental structures to build a society in this white zone with people who have basically lost their minds.
Yeah, they're in the gulag, but it's sort of like this empty white gulag.
Which sort of reminds me of Papillon, like in a weird way. Like, they're obviously in this kind of horrible, isolated prison area. And then they run into a hologram, and eventually THX 1138 evades the robots long enough that the budget gets high enough that he's no longer worth chasing.
Which I thought was great.
Which is really, that's
a great plot line. Like the culminating climactic Hollywood chase scene is called off because the police have exceeded the amount of money expended towards recovering THX 1130. So they just stop in midstream and just head back.
And they say, come back with us. Like they couldn't go any further, not allowed to go any further.
Right.
And he's going up the ladder and they're on the ladder behind him and like, come down. We only want to help.
Right. And it's one of those brilliant, I remember as a kid seeing the book. The book was in our house with those sort of like chrome face-plated California highway police troopers. Truly,
it's actually pretty cool.
Truly frightening image to me as a kid. I remember that really clear. Like the menace in that picture was obvious to me, even though I was like 7 years old. I was like, this is not good. Somebody dressed in a uniform who doesn't have a face. I thought that was brilliant. I thought one of my favorite scenes in TH 1138 is after work. And it's these throwaway scenes. I mean, they're not significant scenes at all, but there's one where he goes into a store and the only thing that's in a store, and it's just a throwaway. You don't even go to the store. You're like outside the store. It's almost like one of those stores in like an airport, airport concourse. Right. And he just walks in, and all they have is like red foam cubes and blue foam cubes. And he goes in there and he looks for a few seconds. He buys a red one. He comes, that's all they've got is red cubes and blue cubes. He comes out and throws the cube in the trash.
Right.
And I thought it was brilliant. It's like, that's all. It's all about the desire of buying something, but you don't really need anything.
You don't need. Well, there's nothing. Right. There's nothing to have. Yeah.
Yeah. But society needs you to make a decision. Society needs you to consume, but you don't really. There's nothing you really need. So all you get is a choice between a red cube and a blue cube, and then you throw it at him. I thought that was, and it's like literally, it's like a 5-second scene, and I thought, and that's when you started realizing that George Lucas has really got his shit together. He's really good.
It is. It's an incredibly bleak film, though. I mean, it is on some levels. I mean, I don't know if it's more enjoyable than Logan's Run.
Oh, yes.
It's not as enjoyable as Zardoz to me.
Oh, no.
Zardoz just has so much more going on, but
Zardoz
because
is
everything at the
fun.
palette is just one. It is white and a little bit of dark. It's so stark and bleak. It's
right. He sort of took that whole Kubrickian thing and turned it on its head, or not really on its head. He sort of took it where Kubrick didn't take it, which is that and they're all living like naked mole rats. The whole city's underground is what it is. They're all underground. And it's this police state, and everybody's hairless and everybody's completely on drugs all the time. Yeah. People are drugged to the gills 24/7. It's a surveillance. I mean, but there's a lot of humor in it. I mean, it is a funny film in a lot, in surprisingly humorous. I love that. The other scene that really took my breath away was when he's sitting there after work watching the TV, which was a thing that everybody did in the 1970s. In the 1970s, everybody came home from work and they sat down and they watched ABC or NBC or CBS between the hours of 7 and 10 o'clock at night. Or you watched either All in the Family or watched the Mary Tyler, whatever. And THX 11 sits down, he watches two shows. One show is basically like an Amos and Andy show of two black guys jive talking to each other. And he's sitting there completely impassive, like he's completely zonked out. And then the other show is just a bunch of cops beating somebody with sticks.
Yep. They're holograms. It's a hologram show. And the hologram apparently was, used to be part of that, but the hologram escaped. But the show is nothing else but a bunch of people beating people with sticks. I just want to mention that Maggie Omi as LUH 3417 was really amazing in that film.
What, she was
his roommate?
Yeah,
his roommate. And she's like, she changes the channel. She's like, I was watching that. He's watching the cop beat the
like two
human.
Cops just beating somebody mercilessly.
And she's like, you've watched that long enough.
Yeah, and is that not a commentary?
Yeah. Also, I just think her delivery throughout was pretty astoundingly good.
Yeah. Sorry, I get very emotional.
Clearly is. What's that?
No, go ahead.
No, she's clearly has been off the drugs for a while. I mean, I think that's kind of, she's kind of leading him back into reality, however terrible it is. So she has that kind of 100-mile stare, and it's. I think her performance was remarkable. What's interesting, I found also were the confessional booths.
Right, I forgot about that.
He would go in, and it was more than once, quite often. And apparently, this was a comfort. Or Donald Pleasance runs into the actual set where they film that kind of vague Christ image, and it says, "What is it, my child?" And you can tell it's just a loop. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah. And it just repeats, and nobody seems to notice. They just go in and they confess.
Yep.
And it all gets recorded. And
it's a good film.
So
I find it, it's obviously a commentary. It's obviously a critique of contemporary society. And there's some critiques of contemporary society that just bludgeon you over the head. And then there's something like THX 1138 where you laugh and you're like, okay, good one. You scored a point here. Touche. Yeah. Touche.
Yeah.
And George Lucas knows how to do it. I really enjoy it, but it's a hard watch.
Yeah,
it really is. Now, the other interesting thing I want to bring up is the fascination of, so there's some other films we didn't watch, is everybody's fascination with some piece of classical music.
Yes.
So at the end of THX 1138, I think it's Bach's St. Matthew's Passion.
Mm-hmm.
And one film I wanted you to watch, but I didn't ask you because I think I've imposed too much on you, but maybe you've seen it, is Rollerball.
I haven't seen it in many years.
Oh, but it's a magnificent, that's a hayride. That's James Caan putting on his red undies and his bandolero.
Oh boy.
And that one had Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor. Did Zardoz have a classical?
Oh yes, Beethoven's second.
The second?
I think it's the second, yeah, at the end. No, and it repeats throughout. Now, somebody did the actual soundtrack, but they leaned heavily on Beethoven's second.
Okay. Yeah. And then what else? There's so many pieces of classical music.
What was the music like in Logan's Run? Usually notice the soundtrack, and I don't remember that at all.
I don't think they did. I don't think they had a classical piece. In Rollerball, it's the Toccata and Fugue, and it's Albinoni's Adagio. That's another big one that people used during that time. But it's interesting how, and of course you have, because of course it was Stanley Kubrick in 2001 and 1969 who had the Blue Danube and all kinds. So this was a winning formula, pairing some monumental piece of classical music with your science fiction film.
And I mean, 2001 is in a different category than
it's completely different. The interesting thing is that THX 1138 is really weirdly sort of in between all these in a lot of ways. Like it's very Kubrick in its sense of it. Lots of white, very brightly lit, very white, very stark. Not a lot of dialogue. Interesting stuff. It's interesting to see how everybody interprets that and goes forward from it. Okay, Silent Running.
Right.
One
Another
of these
movie with
things
robots
is not like the other.
Sort of. I mean, sort of. It's about domes. I mean,
it's about domes, sir.
There's domes protecting,
precious
instead
things.
Of people, it's
against the end of time.
The forest, yeah. Against the end of time, right. And a kind of an immortality quest, but not for people, for the forests. It is.
That movie really hit me when I saw it when I was a kid.
I think it's a terribly sad film, and a really brutal commentary. And it begins with this inexplicable command after they've gone through all the expense of creating these domes to put these forests in, and 4 different ships.
Yeah, there's no trees left on Earth. So they've created these orbital spacecraft, these gigantic spacecraft in space that have all these Buckminster Fuller domes, all these geodesic domes attached to them. And inside each dome is like a microclimate, like a rainforest and stuff like that. And there's guys out there who are taking care of them. And they get the inexplicable order to blow them all up.
Blow them up in return for, I think, to be used for commercial purposes.
Yeah.
And they, there's a commentary that put the American Airlines logo on the side of the ship, and they each have different names.
Valley Forge, I think, was the one that he was on.
Valley Forge.
Right.
Is the
much
one
like
that
Kubrick put Pan Am on the side of the shuttle that was going out to the spinning wheel in space. And I think they paid for it. I think it's one of the earliest examples of like product placement or something.
I don't know. Yeah, so then American may have paid for this one and maybe regretted it.
You did what?
Wait, hold on.
What?
Hold on.
I thought we were the good guys. Yeah.
Yeah. American Airlines Space Freighters.
Doing what we do best. Yeah. Have you noticed as you've grown older, this is a complete and utter non sequitur, that your mind is just chock full of jingles? I mean, you grew up as the son of an advertiser.
Yeah. They're slammed into my head. They're indelible.
My God. We're American Airlines doing what we do best.
Wait. We're American Airlines.
Doing what we do best.
I thought it was something special in the air. We'll have to find out.
Miller is right. One beer to have when you're having more than one.
More than one.
Now, there's ever
it's Schaefer. Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Yeah, I know that because I was a Mets fan, and Schaefer was the beer of Mets Stadium. Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're.
This is where our last remaining listener turns off the volume.
That is like, maybe that's a bad idea. Like. That song is stuck in your head and you've had one and you're like, well, it's Schaefer. I gotta have more than one. Two.
I'll be okay.
How many have I had?
But anyway, silent running. So it's interesting because silent running is tapping into that other flip side of the early 1970s, which was the ecology movement, which I remember was a really big thing when I was little. We had the stickers with the. It was like the yellow, it was the green, like the Greek letter. I forget, it was just a circle with a line through. That was like the ecology symbol.
Yeah.
That was really big. And there was Yule Gibbons. Do you remember Yule Gibbons? It was talking about natural food and all. And it was like the first wave of ecology stuff coming out of the hippie movement. And sort of what I'm dealing with today, which is, that also spawned the cooperative movement and the health food movement and all this stuff. But back then it was really heavy. Interesting film, Silent Running. It really doesn't talk about any of that.
No.
It's really just a normal film. Perhaps the most famous part of it are the little robots.
Right.
That's what made the film famous because everybody's like, how did you do that?
And I couldn't figure out how they did it.
Did you finally figure it out? Did you finally see how they did it?
Did you? Because I didn't. I didn't
actually
look
They're
up.
amputees. They're people who don't have legs. Gosh. And it's literally and the legs of the robots are their arms.
Are their arms?
I think.
There must have just been two because they did very quickly get rid of one of them. There's only one scene where the three of them are there and one of them has their leg stuck. It's not moving.
Right. And it's a very like that, like the whole lineage, I'm talking like a Buddhist now, the whole lineage from 2001 Space Odyssey to Star Wars, there's a clear path there.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Like there's a clear, and I think one of the way stations on that, because I think Star Wars is 75.
I think it's 77. But let me look that up.
At the least, at the latest, it's 76. The first release was 76, I think.
No, original work, Star Wars, 1977.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
1977.
So 77 and Silent Running is what? 74?
70. Hang on, I just added up. Silent Running is 72.
Yeah.
That was pretty far ahead of its time.
It was. And I think the guys who worked on that were a lot of the same guys who worked on... It had
a real Star Wars. The robots had a real Star Wars feel.
And I think actually the people who were doing Star Wars really mined that. Like they really went back to Huey, Dewey, and Louie because it was a hit. It's one of the things that really made that film popular were these three robots, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, who were really fascinating. And audiences were mesmerized by this. I remember I was mesmerized by it.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. It's interesting to see these lineages and seeing how Douglas Trumbull is like a key person who goes straight. He's on 2001: A Space Odyssey, and he goes straight through to Star Wars. I think he's one of the key, much in the same way that like Lasseter is key to the Pixar thing.
Wait, he created scenes for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And Close Encounters. And he directed this one.
He directed what one?
He directed Silent
Running.
Running.
Silent Running. Yeah, which is interesting. So you have the special effects guy directing his own movie.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Stephen Bochco.
Hill Street Blues?
Is that the same? He wrote it. Do I have? Bay City Blues. Doogie Howser. Yeah. NYPD
Stephen
Blue.
Bochco wrote Silent Running.
Stephen Bochco was one of the writers of Silent
That's
Running.
a category error. It's like finding out that George Washington wrote Pride and Prejudice.
No, it might have been, would be one of his early works.
Wow.
Derek Washburn, Michael Cimino. Michael Cimino sounds familiar too.
Yeah, he is.
The Deer Hunter.
Yep. So it's interesting. I think it's a very interesting, because it's very unlike a lot of other science fiction. Like all the films we're talking about, it doesn't feel like them at all. Because it's there's no humor at all. But it's very gentle.
It's very gentle, but it's really dark. I mean, I actually found it maybe darker than the other movies. Like, not darker than THX 1138, but
it's much more believable.
Yeah, well, and that it's that in the end, he just blows himself up.
Yeah,
he nukes himself, which I didn't quite get. I didn't see it coming. Maybe he did that so that nobody could find the forest that he like let loose with one of the robots to take care of.
Yeah, the last dome. He entrusts the last dome to the two robots and just sets it off free to float in space.
Yeah.
It's cool. Cool film. So we did that one. We did THX 1138, Logan's Run, Silent Running, and Zardoz.
Yeah. It's a great four. And strangely connected, like thematically and also from the same decade. I liked the way all of these felt, side by side. And it gave a sense of the 70s in terms of this sort of creative thought.
Early 70s, because when Star Wars comes along, it's really that period between 2001: A Space Odyssey and Star Wars.
Yeah.
So Star Wars is 77, 2001: A Space Odyssey 69. So you got 8 years there, and this is sort of like what's happening during that 8 years. And also you have the Andromeda Strain. Well, probably not the Andromeda Strain, but you have probably Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably got a bunch of and Barbarella. Although Barbarella is really early. You have Barbarella, Planet of the Apes. You've got pulp science fiction going on. Yeah, look it up.
Barbarella may refer to the Barbarella the film, 1968, same year as 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's basically the same time. So that's probably not a good call. Star Trek is what? Star Trek. Was that 65?
Well, Star Trek was 66. In 2 seasons. And before all the films came out in the first film probably 79,
right? But so it predates 2001.
Yeah,
so
and I think
2001 between 1969 and 1977. It'd be interesting to look at all the major science fiction films done between those 2 years.
Before Star Trek, it was Flash Gordon, and these older space heroes, and then there were Westerns. And I think the strange thing is how Gene Roddenberry combined Flash Gordon or some form of it in a kind of military sense or structured sense. It's not really about the individual hero, which is amazing for that time, but it's very much a Western, James Kirk,
you ride into town.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you restore order. You bring order and reason to a situation. But there's no silver rocket ships. I mean, the key to Star Trek was the design of that ship.
I think in some ways, there's actually a lot said about why they designed it like a flying saucer with rockets on it. It was very, that's an odd choice, right? It was not the cigar ship that was basically inhabiting all of the pulps.
Right. But we could certainly ennoble this way too much. But I think it's fascinating to look at what was and then what happens is Star Wars comes along and obliterates everything.
Pretty much then everybody's got to be like Star Wars. Then you get Battlestar Galactica and you've got Buck Rogers in the 21st century. Everything's trying to be like Star Wars.
Everything's a space
nothing's
opera.
Coming close.
So the interesting thing is that none of the movies that we watched was a space opera.
Yeah, right.
Zardoz, Logan's Run, Silo, City of Ember, The Giver, THX 1138, they're all on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no space involved at all. There's no rocket ships.
In a protected dome. Everything's in a protected dome. I think that that's that sense that in order for us to survive, we're going to have to go underground. We're going to have to build a dome over. The sky is dangerous, or there's just this weird trope.
Right. It's nuclear.
In all of these.
It's nuclear fear. It's the whole Earth catalog.
Yes.
Which is, if we had to rebuild civilization from the ground up, what would we have to do? It's very interesting to take a look at this, sort of figure out where everybody's minds are at. But it's very Earth-centered. It's not a space opera. Strangely enough, because in 1969 we landed on the moon, but nobody's talking about landing on the moon. All these movies are about what's going on Earth and how things are going bad. And they're about overpopulation. I mean, we didn't talk about Soylent Green.
No, Soylent Green is a profoundly frightening film. And not because of the Soylent Green as people. It's all the other aspects that it sort of looks like it predicts. That it's really, really deeply scary. I don't know if you've seen it recently.
No, never have.
It's hard to watch. It's so prescient and scary. I don't know if you want to tackle it. We could, but it's a traumatic film. I want to do
something else now.
Yeah. One other thing, though, that I noticed in all of these films, there's a common theme we haven't mentioned, which is surveillance. And I think that it's like the presence of the camera. Now, in Zardoz, there isn't the presence of the camera, but they're all, we didn't mention, all of the immortal rich people are telepathic. They're immortal and they're telepathic.
And they go like
so they can like, I will not go to second level. No.
That was one of the most painfully stupid
I thought
scenes.
It was fantastic. Oh,
it's great. And then some point you realize I'm really enjoying this painfully stupid scene.
No.
Okay, kids. We're going to do this scene, and you have to pretend like you're somebody who really hates something. Okay, teacher, let's go.
Hats off to the actor.
Roll tape. I'm on it.
By the way, I will not go to second level, but I won't. This was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And we're at an hour, so I think I could go on forever and ever, but I think that's enough for now.
I don't know where we go from here. I do want to see if Matt and Abby are ready to talk about Star Trek. I think that would be fun if they've kind of at least gotten far enough along in watching all the series. And it'd be great to have both of them back. We had them individually. Matt and Abby both help in different roles, run a club called Club Passine. But they have a fascination with Star Trek. I think there might be some interesting conversation around that. Beyond that, I'm reading an amazing book. I started a book by Pema Chodron, Comfortable with Uncertainty, and it didn't move me the way the book that I'm reading now is moving me by her. This is definitely deep Buddhism stuff, but actually I think this book is relatable for anybody, and it sounds really off-putting when you hear the title, How We Live is How We Die. And for that reason, I had kind of put off reading it, but I think it may be one of her best books.
Why?
It tackles the idea of the bardo in Buddhist thought, which has also been expounded on in popular culture recently, but it points out this notion that we are always in the bardo. We are always living and dying. You don't need to wait for your death to know what this is like. This is going on all the time. And the way she explains it is just kind of beautiful and inspiring, and it kind of opens up a new perspective from my point of view. It might be worth checking out. I mean, if you can handle it. Yeah. I mean, this might be a good one. If you would want to tackle it for next week, is How We Live is How We Die. It sounds really dark, but it's the opposite.
I don't want to tackle it I think one of the problems we have with this show is we always say, okay, we're going to do this for next week. And a week's not long enough. We should really be doing 2-week runways on the things that we talk about. So,
all right, why don't we'll wing it for the next show, but then maybe in 2 weeks we can come back and talk about Pema Chodron.
Can you text me the link?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be willing to look at that. And the other thing, I'm glad you've read it first, because sometimes you and I agree we're going to read a book together, and you call me and say, I hate this fucking book. And I say, yeah, I hate it too. And that's it. And we got to find something else then we got to make shit up on the next show. But as I mentioned before, I'm reading. It's a little tedious. That's okay. It's a history book. Fascinating, really good biography of Benjamin Franklin. I'm not going to ask you to read it. I'll just tell you what I find is the fascinating thing, because there are fascinating lessons from it, but I won't go into it here now. But maybe we can do it the next time. We can talk. And if maybe you have a biography that you've read of a historical person that you think is particularly, that shines a light on that person that you don't believe most people know about, maybe you can bring that to the table.
Yeah, let me think about
that. Found a bunch of things in this book about Benjamin Franklin that are really fascinating. Okay. So that's good enough. You'll send me the thing about the Buddhist thing, and I'll just keep reading Ben Franklin.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Funny Not Funny is produced by Jim Infantino at Slab Media in Boston. Jim Infantino and Lionel Casson are the co-hosts. Our website is funnynotfunny.net. The theme music is from the song Wheel from the album Utopia Revisited by Jim. The opinions presented by the co-hosts are ridiculous and should not be taken seriously by anyone. Our intended audience is literally nobody. If you're listening to this podcast, you should probably pause to reflect on other choices you've recently made. Please do not subscribe or leave a rating or review. It only encourages us to make more. Thanks for listening.